welcome to Free Cheese, episode 325. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. How are you, Mark?
Man, look at that. That flow.
Boom.
I'm good.
Rhythm. Earl's here with us.
Yeah.
Oswald's here, although quieter than Earl.
For now.
For now. They'll flare up. Matt out there checking Nashville, see if he can find Britface Yo. Will she turn up? The search continues in another state.
Hashtag where Britface go.
Yeah, if you can find her, please email us, podcast@thefreecheese.com. Just like all of our friends email us. Just like someone emailed us for later this episode.
Ooh.
Before that, we're going to kick things off. Mark and I are going to change things up a little tad this week just to keep things fresh. So we're actually going to do 3 topics this week. We're going to talk about games that should be remade. You know, get that Resident Evil 2, Final Fantasy VII treatment. We're going to talk about how you support game developers when the heads of their companies do things you disagree with, when politics get involved. And it seems like everyone is talking about the game of the decade, so we will weigh in on that later on. Of course, we'll talk about what we've been playing and give you the headlines of the week. But first, let's jump into that first topic, Mark. I just beat Resident Evil 2 last week.
Right.
And Final Fantasy VII is coming out in March, which, I don't know, man. They both kind of transformed those original games into something brand new.
Yeah, like, 2... I mean, they both do something brand new.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, 2's feels a little more familiar. Because we've already had 4, 5, that style
it's still, yeah,
over
yeah,
the shoulder, but it's nice to add that plus the refinement of what 7 did, even with that engine, and then slap it on all that onto another good game.
Yeah,
so
because 2 was already great in its own right, which I never played the original one, but I know it is like the one, right?
Definitely a different style of spookiness. It's fixed cameras and all that.
But 7, of course.
That's probably the most...
Seems like a big departure.
That's a big jump.
Yeah. The character models look completely different and probably more realized to what Square would have done if they could have done. But those are other questions about all of this stuff. Is like, what are we talking about when we talk about a remake here? Like, we see stuff like Crash, Spyro, Oddworld, Medieval, all of these PS1 games getting this kind of modernized treatment where...
It's like there's true remakes, and then there's like reimaginings.
Right. Like...
and there's like a bit of both, I guess.
Like, I think... like, the Crash and Spyro games, like, they don't do a lot in, like...
They don't stray too far from what the original
They're pretty...
DNA
yeah,
is.
they're pretty close to that original piece. Oddworld still was pretty close to that, but it added a lot of quality of life improvements the original didn't have. I haven't played Medieval, but... Medieval seems to kind of stick to that original, even...
It just seems more of like an update.
Yeah, with modernized graphics and everything. And it's not to discount anything. One is better than the other or anything like that, but when I see something like Resident Evil 2, it's like they kind of transform that game a little bit. Like, it fundamentally plays differently than the original.
Yeah, they changed a lot about it. The way some things go, the way the story is, the characters.
Yeah.
Adding new spots.
Yeah.
Rather, I mean, like, that's, like, I don't know if that's even something Final Fantasy VII is going to have. I don't know if they're going to have new areas. I think they're just expanding upon what's already established. And I guess Resident Evil did that as well, in a way, technically.
In a way, yeah. I'm curious how 7 will end up. But, I mean, even what we know about the combat changes alone in 7.
Yeah, just breaking out this... Like, I know all these games when they get remade, and it's all about detail, but Final Fantasy VII really seems to be about the detail, and that's probably why Midgar is just one disc.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, it's just so much crammed in there.
Yeah,
even in, like, enemy designs.
Oh, they're wildly different from
the
original? Or?
They released one in, like, October. I don't know the enemy type, but they're like, a ghost-looking thing with, like... You can tell it's, like, a cloth with stitches, but it's also, like... There's flesh kind of involved, like rotting flesh for the arms or whatever.
Okay.
And it's just like they compare it to the Polygon, like the PS1 version.
Yeah.
And it's just like that like it's a nice update because like you wouldn't expect those kind of details to be thrown in there.
How that would end up in modern, yeah. But yeah, I mean that was the one thing I kind of walked away from Resident Evil 2 thinking and feeling was like I'm more excited for 7 because I tried playing 7 again on Switch and it's good. It's just there's been stuff about that game that never grabbed me for one reason or another, and I'm looking for a reason to get grabbed.
And that's like that's not like the OG port. That's like the iOS version or whatever, or Steam version, whatever.
I think it's the Steam version, and then the cool thing about that is it has the triple speed you can do.
Yeah. But like, doesn't the frame rate isn't it like a lot smoother than what it normally was? At least
probably
on PC it was for me, and for some reason that took me out of it. Like I needed it to be choppy.
It hasn't upset me in that way. For me, it's like going back to one of those old JRPGs. You got to be in the right mindset because of how long it takes and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm running around a field and I'm like, it's been 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever the fuck since I last played that. So I don't remember where I'm supposed to go.
And that's probably another thing with these remakes that take an effect is like what type of game style is more accepted now. Like do you think?
Right.
Because like for some reason you want to go a more action route with this Final Fantasy VII remake.
And I
mean,
wonder,
you can still do kind of turn-based as an option.
Yeah, but
it's not the forefront.
I wonder how much running around in a field you're going to be doing to grind and level up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's going to be opportunities for it, but I don't think it's going to be the
same thing for Resident Evil. Like
expectation.
They saw, they see the success of 4. They're not going to change that.
Right.
And I mean, even though strangely they didn't do anything with the first game, the first RE remake.
Yeah, that was just HD
which
polish.
Is nice. I mean, they did add like a new control style to it where it's not as tanky.
Yeah.
You can move around a little more freely. But yeah, it's interesting to see how some things change, some things don't.
So, with that, thinking about RE2, FF7, how they both kind of from the ground up rebuilt, less of a remaster. Which games do you want to see get completely remade? You want to go first?
You go first.
Parasite Eve is the first. I've got a few on my list, but Parasite Eve is the one just because I've been playing it recently.
And that's Square, right?
It's Square.
Man, that would be beautiful today.
The game was made by the FF7 team or members of... I don't know if it was exactly that, but...
There's a lot of shared elements.
Yes, like...
Even with the art.
Yeah, there's like a lot of stuff that's like... Because it's based off a book, but it's not like... The characters aren't necessarily that, so like...
What isn't these days, you know?
So Aya is... You can draw a lot of similarities between Aya and Cloud. Yeah. There's a Barrett-like figure. There is a Tifa-like figure in the way of I forget the Chunicha. I forget, it's a scientist, but like it's kind of like that comedic relief. I don't know, like not that Tifa's comedic relief, but like she's
Kate Sith's probably more comedic relief.
But just that kind of like friend or that, you know what I mean, like that third body. Either way, there's a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of like Oedipus complex stuff that you get from like Sephiroth, but also from Eve in this, and Aya trying to figure out her own origin.
Some cosmic thing.
There's all right. It's like there's a lot of similarities, but either way, like playing through that game, I had never played it until this year, and the combat system in that is one that is like, why the fuck doesn't every game do this? Not every, right? But it still has that active time battle stuff that you get from a Final Fantasy, but it's also free roaming. So, did you ever play Chrono Trigger, like the original SNES?
As a ROM.
But you know when you would be running through the map, and then the battles, like the camera would pull in, and you would get into a battle.
Yeah.
That's how this works. You're running, you see, or you don't see, rather, I'm sorry. They're all invisible enemies, just like on the overworld map. You're moving along, and then all of a sudden, you hear like the sound that, oh shit, I just got into a battle. And the camera just kind of moves a little bit, but it stays exactly where you are, and that's where the battle like plays out.
Yeah.
And then Aya can freely run around until her ATB charges back up.
I think that's how... Is that how Final Fantasy 12 is?
I feel like 12 might...
Or at least, or the updated version.
That sounds right. I think you're
Zodiac Age or whatever.
But then you're just free targeting enemies and moving into combat from there. And just something about that. There's a lot of cool stuff about the inventory system and the gun leveling up, and that world I think is something that needs to be explored differently. And if I could see that one fully realized in a big remake way, that would be.
Enemy designs alone, I feel like they would benefit so much from an update.
Yeah, I mean, they already look badass when you see, not even just the in-game assets, but when you see the FMV sequences where they show some of the stuff, like,
dude, yeah,
fucking cool.
Especially for it being square, just adding that touch to it.
God. That one, I think, more than anything on my list, deserves that
also,
remake.
That would bump Square up with broadening their taste in games, like... Because that one has some, like, horror factor to it.
It's definitely got some horror factor.
And, like, they're not really known for that.
Mm-mm. I would really, like, if that was a thing next year, count me in.
Top of my list is Silent Hill, but specifically the fourth one.
That's PS2?
Yes.
Why 4? What's so special about 4?
Well, sadly, 4 is the only one I've played. Even though I love this series and I've done a lot of research on this series, I refuse to play that HD collection.
Yeah.
So that's probably another reason, but I feel like something like I feel like the first game is hard to already kind of remake. I mean, I'm sure Zero technically is like a remake of the first one. I think. I believe it was that one, or was it the one for Wii?
I don't remember anymore. I knew at one point, and I don't remember.
Anyway, they've tried before. I just don't know if that's something that would go as well as I would hope today, but that would be awesome. But the thing I like about 4, I think that could take some cues from Resident Evil 7.
Oh yeah,
because in your apartment, it's all first person, and the more you progress in that game, the worse your apartment gets. So you don't feel safe at home.
Like walls getting black.
Like there's baby heads coming out of it.
Oh,
there's different poltergeist stuff happening. You're locked in on the inside. So if you go near anything, it hurts you. So there's floating heads going by the window. Just like every little thing, like you don't want to be in that house. So what you do is you travel through your dreams, and like you're not in Silent Hill at all, but there's this big hole in the bathroom, and that's you transporting into like a dream world of some kind. But
the subtitle is The Room. Yeah,
because usually in games you feel safe in your own room. This is the exact opposite, and there's something I like the style of that game. I really like that atmosphere. I like that idea. You can tell it wasn't meant to be a Silent Hill game, and I would still suggest this game, whatever the title would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think of Resident Evil 7. I think how that was first person. The way I think just having more freedom with the controls that would benefit.
Because I bet it was probably kind of like hampered a little bit back.
It was a little stiff.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not. Silent Hill isn't really known for its combat either, because you're not really supposed to be powerful in that sense, or else the game isn't that scary. But I feel like those models could definitely use, kind of like Parasite Eve. Those creature designs, seeing that updated, I think would be very, very neat.
Yeah, I've never played through a Silent Hill, so that would be a reason to, you know what I mean, or a way to explore that.
And like, I don't know if it'd be sacrilege to even say to, because like that game is like perfection in the majority's eyes, and it's like, can you really remake that? Can you, like, I don't know, possibly.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because the next one on my list is called The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Ooh. I almost picked a Zelda game. I was going to say A Link to the Past.
I'm good. I want to see... I pick Ocarina just because it's of that era and of that same kind of RE2, FF7...
Surprising to see Majora.
You could get there, right? But
you have to wait. Ocarina has to happen first, and then...
But because I thought about it, and I know as I say that everyone's going to go, well, the 3DS game. Well, no, 3DS game's technically what we would call a remaster, right? They Ocarina of Time 3D, like it is. They changed some things, but for all intents and purposes, like the art assets still look like that game looked. I'm saying, what if we went all the way and you transform Link into a different Link? Like,
What do you mean different Link?
Make Link look like Cloud. You know what I mean? Like, go full anime 3D model.
Oh, you mean just visually, just
yeah, and like
change the whole look of
and
it.
make the world a little bit more realistic.
Okay,
like
so Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah, like let's finally do one of those. You know, one of those fan made demos that get circled around for.
Yeah, Twilight Princess was supposed to be that.
But like, imagine like the super level of detail, like because even Breath of the Wild has its own style to it. Like it is
it's very cel shaded.
It's got like think about a like hyper realism.
That's what everybody wanted. Everybody wanted that. Everyone wanted that dark, gritty Zelda.
And what if, right? Like you still do the plot of Ocarina, you're doing all that, but you're doing it in this big, huge. And like imagine, and when I think about a remake for that too, I would think like in the same way that like Final Fantasy VII is transforming that game, you could do this in the Breath of the Wild engine.
So it'd have that play style.
Something like, well, I would still want you to have the combat like. Still, like, get the hook shot to get to this spot. Still have whatever. I would like to see actually, like, double down on combat and make the combat even better. But none of the weapon durability. Mm-hmm. None of the whatever. But still have all of the dungeons around the... Like, think about the way that you would do that. But remember, like, they would do a good job of, like, masking your transitions and stuff to go in between one world to the other and whatever.
Yeah, just, like, fade the black thing.
Yeah. Like, have all of that just ready to go. Like, you're just walking
just seamless.
Just just this one big, huge.
Would your remake have the owl? And how would you change him to be not as annoying? Because dude talks a lot.
Dude does talk a lot. I mean, I would put him in there as an option, right? Like, make him something that you can go to if you'd like to, but not that you need to.
But not to carry the story along. Because as soon as you get out to Hyrule Field, he's like, you gotta go to Hyrule Castle. I'm like, no shit.
Yeah, like,
Do you want to repeat everything I just said?
Not to sound like someone on a forum in 1999, but like grow it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he plays it a little bit where
would there be voice acting?
Yeah, you got to do it.
Then that would be the fix. Because you don't have to repeat the text.
Yeah,
it would just be a scene.
Yeah,
done, and you can choose to skip it.
I think that's here's where the owl comes into play. You load up your game save for the first time in X amount of time, and the owl's like, all right, let's get you caught up to speed. Here's what happened last time, in case you need to remember.
They tried that with Skyward Sword.
I know. But I appreciated that, but do it right, and no, but like grow it up a little bit, give it some edge, which I know is very. I'm on a forum somewhere, but also
I get that.
He is.
Earl's Rumble Pack's turned on.
I'm going to take the batteries out of it.
I get that. I just had the word for it. Because I wouldn't necessarily edgy. You want like a darker fantasy.
Well, that, and also I think like there's still like a that elf like toy like quality to Ocarina. Like it still looks like a cartoon in a way. Like just make it real. You can keep it lighthearted.
I feel like Nintendo's afraid to go in that direction. Like Metroid's kind of slowly backed out of that.
Yeah, I'm curious if 4 will get into it a little bit more, but
because like Prime wasn't really, that was just sci-fi, like it wasn't really eerie. It was, but
it had
at the same time, it wasn't like Fusion. It wasn't like Super Metroid.
We haven't seen Nintendo try and do anything close to hyperrealism,
right? And
ever
Luigi's Mansion. Even like the first one, nothing carries the first one's vibe.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like I need Mario to be like an actual little dude from Brooklyn running around. Like,
right?
There's a reason that some of these characters, but like, I don't know. Like, you could take that Twilight Princess Link and make him a human being looking. You know what I mean? Like, give it that.
Not so much Skyrim, but
no.
I get that. That would work.
What else would you like to see?
So, thankfully, you brought this one up because I totally forgot about it for some reason. But Soul Reaver, definitely needs that.
Yeah,
I don't like. The game is still revered; it's still loved. They're just sitting on it. I don't know.
It's Square, right? Is it another Square joint?
I think it was Eidos.
I think they're
originally or Crystal Dynamics, right?
Crystal Dynamics, and I believe.
So it would be Square. So to add to that Parasite Eve package, and what's her face?
Amy Hennig.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
She said that that's still like her like proudest achievement.
Yeah,
that she's done so far, and then it's like, all right, well, update it so I don't. Cause,
somebody talk to somebody.
Yeah. Because like I remember I got it on Steam thinking, oh yeah, I can play this again. Awesome. I haven't really played these games. I would love to dive into these.
Yeah.
And on Steam, it doesn't support controllers.
What?
And you have to use only a keyboard, no mouse.
So
like the arrow keys and the letters to do everything. And it's like for a 3D game where you have to pick up shit and throw people, and it's just not. No.
Mm-mm.
This need like how dare they release this and not update it?
I'm checking the Steam page now to see if they've changed that at all.
I mean, this was like 3 years ago last time I checked, 3 or 4 years ago. So I don't know what's happened since. So I might have to do like some joy to key configuration, but I shouldn't have to do that. It should just be streamlined. That whole series could use.
I mean, I'm just glancing through reviews because there's nothing actually listed, but I think
whoever's getting positive reviews hasn't played the game.
No, I think you need to. I think you have to do some weird like DS Fix style stuff to get a controller to work on it. So
it just sounds like a nightmare.
So, well, with that game, like, what would you want to see in a complete remake, right? Like. Would you change anything about the original, right? Because when I think about the remake part of it,
mm-hmm.
like what would need to be changed to make it more modern?
Oh, I'm sure the combat definitely would be to like change that up.
Yeah.
Because I mean the game was very stiff, so I guess it would just feel more like a polish than anything. But I guess along the same lines of like how they kind of did with Tomb Raider. Is how I kind of picture it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not as along the same lines of like what a AAA game you would expect out of like. Here's this whole like list of things. I don't just the way the UI is set up, the way you navigate. Like I don't want it to be like so like in your face on like you got to do this, you got to do this. Here's some QTEs or whatever.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I don't need necessarily any of that, but visually. Definitely use that treatment. Definitely upgrade to combat. I guess make it a little more, not as extreme as Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
But a little more fluid.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just if they can just somehow update that with like just the way you maneuver, the way you climb and glide. Just make it really all because it all kind of feels separate. Because in the beginning, when you get thrown into the abyss, you got to climb your way out, and that's like a whole like. I don't think you really have control of the camera, if I remember correctly. But climbing out of that was kind of a pain, at least on a keyboard. Well, I wish I could speak for
the PS1.
But I didn't have a PlayStation, so I never really got to experience that.
No, but yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah, I bet there's a lot of those cinematic moments that were kind of like...
But I can only imagine with that, right?
Yeah.
There's no DualShock. There's no joysticks. It's usually just a D-pad.
Ugh.
And maybe the shoulder buttons to rotate the camera.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Because that was that era.
Yeah.
So... yeah, I don't know.
But speaking of that era, I got my final answer. Castlevania, Symphony of the Night.
Oh.
With Rondo of Blood.
Okay.
3D behind-the-back action game.
So, like,
Bloodborne.
Yeah. Is your way of just saying Bloodborne?
Yeah. So you make Bloodborne.
I'm surprised you didn't say the first or second one.
1 or 2?
Yeah. Or 3.
Well, look, Mark, in a perfect world,
Simon needs an update, I feel.
He does. But when you're tapping into the well, right? You're trying to get everyone. You go Symphony. Symphony is perfection, like literally still to this day. It's been 22 years, still my favorite game ever.
Yeah.
Still, I don't think you ever need to touch that game.
And there really hasn't been a 3D Castlevania that's stuck well.
But if you're gonna do something, you go to Symphony.
Mm-hmm.
The story's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
Dad's upset. Mom's dead. Gotta stop Dad before he kills everybody. And then there's all that tertiary shit. Like, Richter used to be there, and now Maria's there. You do all of that. So the game starts behind the back. You're running into the castle as Alucard. The whole opening. You get going. The part where Death comes along and steals all of Alucard's stuff. Instead of right there, the game really beginning for you and your journey upward, then you're thrown back in time. You play as Richter. Or shit, maybe when you get to the inverted castle, like maybe instead of going to the inverted castle, maybe that's when you go back through the Rondo of Blood stuff.
So you're fusing?
Oh, yeah. Fuse both stories, right?
Okay.
So you get to bounce between both of them in this little world of mine.
Got it.
Put it all in the same castle, like do all of that, and have just the elements of Rondo in there. So you get to learn, because that was the thing about being someone who had just played Symphony of the Night, like most people in America, is you had no context for who Maria was or for who Richter was. So add that context into it in a complete 3D, big fucking budget, like remake. That's the way to do it.
Would it play like Bloodborne? Do you want the shoulder button fighting, or?
I would be curious to see how
because it sounds like, I mean, you definitely want that scale. You want that grand.
Yeah.
Like, you're in this world. You're not just in a castle. You're in this fucking dimension.
You're in Dracula.
Yeah.
Like, you are inside of this. Like, you still need the sub-weapons, right? Like, there's all of those things that need to stay constant to keep it a Castlevania game for me. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I have an article I wrote on an op-ed thing on the site called Pretending It's Dracula, where I started Bloodborne, made my character Simon Belmont, and played through that whole game kind of in the back of my head, always thinking it was the Castlevania game that we never got. And when you approach Bloodborne in that way...
That's how I treated Dark Souls with Zelda.
Right, yeah. When you let the canon become reality in your head, that game can become something way more than it already is perfection, right? But Bloodborne can, for me, it transcended even more because it was like you could see all of those elements. And I think if you actually do that, you bring in all that stuff, you keep the things where you can find new weapons throughout the castle. Like, can you imagine the Chrysogram in fucking 3...
So you're just flying as a bat everywhere.
Dude, how good would that be?
Just exploring little
nooks
and crannies.
Yeah, it'd be so good.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and big boss fights, right? Like, still do... literally, you don't need to think about changing too much. Like, you can keep all the same boss fights, do the whole inverted... The inverted thing would have to be the sequel to the game, right? Like, at this point, it would be probably too big. But you do the inverted thing, and that whole game is just you trying to... Oh, that's... All right, so it's a trilogy, Mark.
Oh.
That's what Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. That's what this is. It's of that scale. You do the first bit where you go through the whole castle as Alucard.
What, just New Game Plus would be?
The second game... it's not... But then it would take a lot of work. Second game would be Rondo of Blood. Third game would be Inverted Castle. That's how you do it. And then... Oh, man. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's the one. I would not be mad if they announced that.
Oh, I can't imagine...
Because that's the thing. You like, if someone said, hey, they're going to remake Symphony of the Night, you're like, fuck you.
Would you still want Konami doing it?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
Pachinko's going out of style. You know what I mean? They got to do something. They're getting desperate.
Yeah.
I'm ready to love again. You know? Fuck me up, Konami.
Alrighty.
What else you got? What other games from the old vault?
I'll do just one more as well.
Yeah.
All right. So this one probably seems the most ambitious. Mm-hmm. Street Fighter 2.
Okay.
So this will have the fighting game that you remember.
Yes.
It's all going to be done in the RE engine.
Wait, what? It's still
Street Fighter 2, it'll still be 2.5 whatever.
Okay.
But I'm going to expand upon this for a second. There's going to be like this, how's the best way to describe it? I want to say it's like, there's still going to be a gameplay change, but not with this fighting part. Like, I don't know if I want this fighting part exactly the way traditionally if I want it. So there's going to be a story mode.
Okay.
But it's going to be done better than what 5 did. Better than what any of them did, because this is going to be the forefront. The fighting part isn't really going to be... That's going to be a separate thing. That's a separate option. If you just want Street Fighter 2, you play Street Fighter 2. But if you want my Street Fighter 2, which is the story mode, an actual world tour...
Okay.
Where, I guess...
Oh, shit.
To where you play as Ryu, or I guess for it to work, you would have to be Ryu.
Yeah.
Maybe Ken. We'll see. But this is going to be like Yakuza style.
Oh, shit. Like
you go through a town, you...
Physically walking through?
Yeah.
Or the game's just kind of taking you there and you're doing...
No, like you're physically walking through each little part of the world. You fight goons, you get experience, you earn new moves.
That's how you learn how to do Hadoukens.
Sure. Or better Hadoukens, or more refined ones, or whatever. If you can change yourself cosmetically if you want. Yeah. Actually, no. I'm gonna make but Ryu can't wear shoes.
No, yeah, not allowed.
Not allowed to wear shoes.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I kind of want to be more fleshed out in that way. I really want you to feel that you're actually going around and seeing these environments, learning more about these characters too. Like, flesh it out more. So like, because like Final Fight Streetwise, not a good game. I like it, but it's not a good game.
What is that one? I don't know that.
Probably for the best. It was on PS2. It was supposed to be a sequel to the whole series. You're playing as Cody's younger brother, Travis, I think is his name.
Oh boy!
And you're
3D beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's a beat 'em up.
Okay.
But it just, I think it had some ideas.
But okay, all right.
Because you would have boss fights.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. All right. When you say this at first, I'm like, how the. But now I'm thinking about it. It could really fucking work. Like you get to
like basically Final Fight Streetwise, that DNA, but Street Fighter, and flesh it out more, but give it that like that Yakuza treatment, so like that crazy, like anime inspired.
You get to the point where you get the fucking thing, and you get a little notice that says like, okay, you have to fly to Brazil and find out who this guy is, and you get down there and you're like, what am I going up against?
There could be some like little dumb quests to like get you along the way, like, oh, this kid lost her cat, and it's like it's optional. You don't have to do it, but it'll show a little more to Ryu's character. Of like who he is. So he just carries that big bag of money around. Yeah. You know? He sees somebody in poverty, he just, hands them like a fucking stack. He just keeps going.
That's a lot.
And then other goons might see that you did that. They want that money.
Oh, I like this a lot. There was a I don't remember now. I don't know. But there's been examples of this where like a game completely kind of bucks its genre a little bit. Yeah. But I think like when you get into the would you go to give me a city and a character, because now I'm dumb and don't remember anything.
Okay, so let's say you go to I believe Hong Kong is Chun-Li.
All right, so you go to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Are you walking through the streets, interacting with things, blah blah blah? You get to the part where you have to fight Chun-Li. Is that 2D? Does that cut the camera over so that you're?
That's the part I'm not sure on.
Because that could work and you're building the fountain, like that's what you're leading up to is all of that. But all of the exploration stuff is third
because
person.
If you're fighting other henchmen or whatever, I didn't picture that part being 2D.
Yeah, no. I
pictured it being 3D.
Right.
So I figured the fight should be 3D. That's why I'm having the fighting game part just to be that's still in there too.
Okay.
Because I've seen Tekken's tried to do this before. They've tried to do like a single player where you play as Jin and you're running around and you're platforming and you get into like Tekken fights and it's like it's not the most favored.
Yeah.
But I see the potential there. Guilty Gear tried doing a beat 'em up arcade style, which worked. I liked it.
Yeah.
But that was like cooperative and you could fight people, and that played just like the main portion of the game. Cool, but it wasn't really expanded upon. So a lot of games were very missed with this, but hit with the idea. So I feel like you got to take something that's already established. I feel like I trust the Yakuza people. They seem like they're really good at this type of world expanding, film little details, crazy fighting. It's like a modern beat 'em up.
Yeah.
I feel like Street Fighter could really benefit from it, especially with the RE engine.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, I'm down. Call them up.
That would be beautiful. I mean, Devil May Cry 5, look, like, that really set it in my head of, like, that could work.
Yeah. Fuck. I think you should make a design doc. Send it in.
And here's the thing. If you do, like, everything, you unlock a special, like, mission afterwards, and that's where you fight Akuma.
Ah, there it is.
That's like the real.
But you had to have saved the cat at the beginning.
Yep, you have to save the cat.
Yeah. There are our choices for games that deserve and need the Resident Evil 2 Final Fantasy VII treatment. Again, like, those two games, both classics in their own right, and I think all the ones we just talked about too. Parasite Eve,
Silent Hill 4.
Silent Hill 4, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time,
Soul Reaver.
Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Symphony of the Night, Rondo of Blood combo, and Street Fighter 2. What are your games that need the RE2 Final Fantasy VII treatment? Let us know. Podcast at thefreecheese.com. We'll read your answers on next week's episode. I think I know what Matt's going to say, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to spoil his surprise. But I'm curious to hear what our listeners' answers are as well. So please email us podcast at thefreecheese.com. Mark, it's been a week since we talked. Well, that's not true at all. But it's been a week since we've been on this podcast.
To them, it's been
Yeah. Mark and I don't talk unless we're sitting at this table. Matter of fact, I feel like we talk more not at this table. But have you played some video games in the last week?
Just one.
You've been playing Street Fighter 2, the remake?
Oh, man. Also, that game would just be called The World Warrior.
Fuck you. Here's the thing. All right. There's an episode. I believe it is Foreplay episode 42, which would have technically been like the 92nd episode of this podcast, if my memory suits. Episode title is called Collector's Edition. And that episode was the last time since this episode that I felt fucked up in the way that, like, we created these dream things that are never gonna happen.
So we're just always disappointed now.
That's what happened. We made those perfect collector's editions that'll never happen. Now we're making these fucking fantastic ideas of remakes in our heads that are never gonna happen.
No.
All right, but if you're not playing the World Warrior, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Then what have you been playing?
Luigi's Mansion. Oh, so sorry.
Whoa.
Whoa. Lugu.
Oh, come on.
Lugu.
Come on.
I mean, I have to, there's some listeners out there who didn't know what I was going to be talking about, so I have to speak in their terms. No, but yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah, you put some time into this one this week.
Yeah, I really want to get that done. Not like in a chore.
No, yeah.
I gotta get doing. No, I'm just I'm cruising along.
Yeah.
Nice cruise.
Are you getting all the little gems on each floor?
I am.
Oh, fuck you.
I am.
I started to, and then
there's some that you can't get right away.
Okay, that's because I was getting frustrated with that, and like,
yeah, right. I learned the hard way. But then other times, you know what? A lot of this game, I've had to look up stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, because I just felt dumb.
Yeah.
And then and once I look it up, I realize, you know what? They didn't actually do a good job telegraphing that I was supposed to do said thing. Like, I get that it's a puzzle game. You have to figure shit out and, trial and error. And then sometimes I feel like I try everything. And then they're like, oh, yeah, well, if you did this and did this, like, they expect you to be, like, more creative than I had anticipated, I guess.
I get, there is...
It just seems out of left field.
All right. I'm not going to controversial statement here, but there's a part of this game that there's pieces around the edge of this game that make you realize this is not a Nintendo internally developed game. It's just it's missing that little extra, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just, in some ways. In some ways.
Like this was developed by Next Level with plenty of support with Nintendo, but like there's always something about games like, you know what I mean? Like, there's that extra little fluff or something that goes into a Nintendo, like, EAD game.
I guess in terms of gameplay, I think it's missing a teeny bit of polish.
Yeah, I don't feel necessarily in control of Luigi. Like, I'm good, I'm getting there, but I feel like
his running around isn't the greatest.
Yeah, his movement, and I feel like the way that you're, like, I wish they just committed to, like, dual stick, actual, like, I don't know, like fucking third-person combat. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, there's a piece of it that's...
It's a lot better than 2.
It is a lot better than 2, but there's a part of it where it feels like someone made like a weird arcade control scheme because those were the computer parts they had in place. And I was like, well, here's how we're going to do this. And they just never got out of it.
I mean, with the way I have my controller set up, I'm pretty fine.
I mean, I'm better. I'm nitpicking a lot here.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get what you're saying, though. Like, if you're doing just default, it like, since GameCube, it's always, for some reason, they feel like you need to aim with the left stick.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't need to.
No.
But now I'm just kind of used to it. I guess after playing 3 games in a row.
And I am too. I just kind of feel like backwards. I don't know.
Yeah. But like I said earlier, like it's definitely missing the vibe of the first one.
Yeah.
Nothing has touched that, and I'm just amazed by that for some reason. So that to me feels very Nintendo, because they're just I don't know why. Like, it wasn't really like it was spooky, but it wasn't like this is gonna give my kid nightmares.
No, but it had something.
It had the right amount.
Yeah.
You know, like it had the atmosphere and and they try to do it on some of the floors in this hotel, but more often than not, I'm just like, all right, this is just really nice. It's good lighting. You kind of know what to expect getting into it. You're not really surprised by too much when it comes unless it's like solving puzzles. But like, there's a boss fight where, I mean, I don't know. I guess
it's fine. Yeah.
There's a boss fight where you have to use Luigi.
And
I wasn't expecting to use Luigi as a sacrifice.
Oh.
I just wouldn't have known to do that.
Sacrifice Luigi.
Yeah, because I mean, he comes back, he respawns, and whatever. He can take a hit, but I didn't know that was a factor into this boss fight.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're just using him as a decoy, as a distraction? That's just not very... How do you expect me to think of that? Because this whole game is teaching you to use the environment to solve your puzzle. And this whole time... And I'm using all the tools, I'm using all my techniques, and nothing's working. Nothing's working. I used all my dog bones. I'm like, I'm not restarting this floor.
So are you saying that the lesson here is that you can't rely on what's around you, you have to rely on what's inside you?
In some cases, yeah. Or what's on the back of you. I don't...
Or what comes out of the back of you.
Yeah. That goo.
Yeah. Rely on the goo inside you.
That poo goo. So I was like, sometimes I feel stupid. Sometimes I don't feel stupid. I think what they're doing is stupid.
I think that plays in it. Like, I still really like this game a lot.
Yeah, no,
and I think you do too. But there are those moments where it's like, what do I do?
Like, a lot of the boss fights in this game I'm not the most fond of.
Right.
Everything else I've been okay with. I haven't really questioned. Some of them have been challenging. Some have been challenging in a way where it just feels a little unnecessary. I
liked the knight. I just did that one.
Yes.
That one was cool.
That one wasn't bad. Yeah. Because a lot of the time I feel like when enemies do their patterns and you're trying to figure it out, they're doing their different little waves, like Mega Man style. All right, they're about to do this little animation. They're going to do this animation. Yeah. And they try to figure out, what do you do for each animation? And more than half the time, you just got to dodge. You just got to run. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, that's very lackluster. I thought I would have to do more. I thought, like, oh, here comes these arrows shooting at you. Do you have to vacuum them towards him? Do you have to, like, push him away?
No, you just got to wait for a while until he pulls the shield down and then hit him with the light.
Yeah, so really, that's a lot of this game is just waiting for that weak spot to open up. Yeah. And then, go to town on them, which feels nice. But yeah, like, I've been going to the shop. I've been buying the dog bones. I've been buying the cartridges to show where the gems are, because even though with that, I still have to look up a video. Because the gem will be like, oh, there's a gem icon in this room. Well, technically, it's in the hallway next to this room.
So you have to figure out how to get through that room to that hallway.
So, like, because I completely missed this one, so I'll help you out for a second.
Yeah.
Unless you got it already. You did the flower one, the plant, the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Floor.
I'm like at the top of it. I'm about to do the boss fight.
Did you get all the gems in that one?
No.
All right. Did you get the yellow one?
I don't even remember.
Okay. Well. In the first hallway.
Is that the one that's in the cage?
No.
Oh, that was the medieval one, I think, maybe.
So as soon as you enter, then, there's that main lobby room and there's a hallway.
Uh-huh.
There's just picture frames along that hall.
Uh-huh.
Dark light, the third picture frame.
Huh.
Because I didn't know there was corresponding colored flowers in front of each of the colored... Like, there's a blue painting, blue flowers. Red painting, red flowers. Yellow painting, no flowers. I didn't notice that before. Because I was just sucking up everything. Because I'm seriously, I'm OCD this whole game. I am cleaning house. This whole game is just me cleaning house. It's been kind of therapeutic. Yeah. So I didn't think about it. And then I went back and saw a video. I'm like, how do I get this Are you kidding me? So I had to dark light it. The gem appeared.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the gem icon is in the main lobby of this floor. It's not in the hallway.
That's strange.
So I'm like, all right, game.
Yeah.
Like, kind of little misleading in some parts. So I've been doing that and been getting, the different boos on each floor.
Yeah.
That's been fun.
Now, did you have to buy a boo cartridge for each one, or does it just kind of rattle when you're... Did you buy you get the one, and it's just, that is the boo?
They have, however many are available, I feel like, is how many you're, I guess, allowed to get at a time. Because I've seen the number go up.
Okay.
And I guess it's because how many floors I've unlocked.
That makes sense.
I don't think you need them. I think if you just pay attention to the goo on the back, that starts to bubble up. Or if you're Luigi, if you're doing his co-op, if he starts vibrating.
Okay.
Because no matter what, they'll start vibrating crazier and crazier. And I just give me the cartridge. I mean, what else am I getting this money for? This money has no use for any other reason.
Yeah, it's just for those things. There's no weird collectibles.
Yeah, so I'm going to spend it.
Yeah. Did you know, I saw a thing that the HD Rumble actually vibrates in Morse code BOO when a boo is nearby?
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Huh.
No, I like this game a lot. I'm like one floor. I kind of do a floor and then check out.
Yeah, some days I do 2 floors
at
most, because I've actually been trying to go to bed at a decent time.
Dude, I've been forced to because my body just...
I try to stop playing around 10 o'clock, 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, that's enough time. And then sometimes 9. Sometimes I'll stop at 9 because I want to watch something.
Yeah.
Because I want to be up until 3 or 4 watching something.
I've been falling asleep hella early and then just... Ugh. I gotta say, though, this game, more than anything, makes me want Pikmin 4. Which I know sounds weird, but playing this game reminds me of, where the game started, GameCube and those roots. I'm thinking about, you know what I mean? That whole GameCube era. And I'm like, man, just the weird things they were starting to do in that era. And, Pikmin's such a fucking weird game. And I'm like...
Yeah, with this game overall, I really do like it. A lot of the floors, I'm not too, surprised by, you know, I'm just all right, just kind of going through the motion of just sucking up everything, solve puzzle, move on.
Yep.
But some floors do kind of impress me. They do take some turns that I didn't expect. Some are more frustrating than others.
Yeah.
I'm on floor 12 now.
I was going to ask what number, yeah. So
and that 15? Required I think there's 15 total. But there is some backtracking in between. Luckily, these floors are kind of small enough to where, it's not really a pain to go and backtrack. And thankfully, it's not as many gems either per floor.
Yeah.
It's 6 gems per floor.
I think so, yeah.
Red, yellow, blue, green, purple, clear.
Yeah.
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 That's cool.
Yeah.
What was I getting at? Yeah, I mean, the backtracking can be... Toad's annoying.
I haven't seen... Oh, no, I did get him. Yeah. But I haven't...
If you're trying to get stuff, he gets in the way. And he's like, no! Get over here. See, you shoot him across the room.
No, I had that. The first one I got, I had fun shooting him at things, though.
Yeah, it's fun hearing him walk around and, squeak.
I would...
Every step is just a little squeak. I love the character animations in this game.
They're really... Yeah.
Luigi is super animated.
Yeah.
I love it. Luigi is the exact opposite, and I love it.
Just so frozen.
If you're running with Luigi and just stand there, he does that little wiggle, just very stiff wiggle.
Like you threw Jello at the ground. It's gross.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just made it to the 12th floor. I didn't really finish a lot of it because that's another one where it's oh, here's these gem icons, but I can't do shit in this room. What am I? There's something I'm missing. But yeah, I don't feel bad looking up videos for this. I don't look up it entirely to where I'm not exactly.
I know what you mean. You need a hint.
I see enough. I'm all right. I just want to know if I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I'll skim the video. And I'm okay. And some boss fights I don't try to watch, but some are just okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. The game has achievements.
Yeah, it's weird. They're popping up in the bottom right
I was
corner.
curious on how you felt about that. And I was
it's cool, but that the thing about achievements that were always neat and trophies, subsequently is that you had them and you could see a collection across your games.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm big on the stat tracking.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need anything but that fucking 3DS stat tracker for the rest of my life.
Right.
Just so much. Just give me
analytics, man.
God, analytics, my playtime, all the shit that I did. I love that. So for me, the achievements have always been a way to be oh, I did that right. I did that thing. Or look at a game and be like, man, I played the shit out of that game. I played it for this many hours. I got this many achievements. And the other side of it is there's that piece where you're like, you know that you're 67% of the achievements done, and you can do these 3 pretty easily just by opening up and seeing a different part of the level. And good achievements encourage you to see other parts of the world you otherwise wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And they like push you to challenge yourself a little bit more. And that's where I think the value comes. With this, I like that they're popping up, but I'm never looking at the list of achievements.
Yeah, I'm not.
I couldn't even tell you if there is a list of achievements. I'm sure there is.
There is.
Right,
but I think you have to go to the lab to look at them.
And the other part is the bragging rights, which isn't always the thing, but it's kind of like when I get done a game that I know all of us are playing, or I'm like at a certain point, I will check in and look like, okay, well, I'm here. Where are they at? You know what I mean? Look at yours, look at Matt's, look at whoever's, and just see like what's going on. And you can't do that here. There's no. The best I can do is like glance and see like Mark's played Luigi's Mansion. Oh, never mind. He played it 9 days ago. So I don't know how fucking long he's played it.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been 10 days. So we don't know how time works until after.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
It's a nice start, I guess. If they happen
Here's
to
the thing,
evolve upon it.
It's not even a start because 3DS had it. You did it.
I mean, not a start for like.
I know.
I guess just for Luigi. I guess just for this game. It's a nice little thing. But yeah, no, I agree overall. That's something they're really lacking in is whatever the Wii U had.
Yeah. Oh,
sorry, Matt.
Just put it back.
Yeah.
Matt understands. He gets it. He would accept the Wii U for that.
Yeah. But yeah, this game overall, I am enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good video game.
It made me think a lot about. I can see this the way direction it's going. I can see it getting stale if they keep doing the same story.
Yeah,
like I don't think Mario needs to be in a painting every time. I don't think it always needs to be about paintings.
I wonder like where do you go after this?
Because like Mario 64 is all about paintings.
Yeah,
but in a different way.
Yeah.
Mario shouldn't get captured every time. I don't think it needs to. Or it's cool that the Toads and like now Peach is involved. I feel like I'm getting close to rescuing Peach, or at least a third Toad, because there's not many floors left. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen anything about Peach yet. It's just been these Toads. And one of them was there was a cutscene with Toad where it was in first person, him running away from a ghost. I was like, I like that.
That's good.
That could be a game. I saw someone on Twitter was talking about that. I'm like, yeah, that could totally be a game. Just Runaway Toad. But it made me think like if they did another game, I think they should kind of go back to their roots in a way, not just have the vibes of the first one, right? Where it's like you have like that going into a door and unlocking it, it's all like shaky hand going into the door, right. It's all dark and weird and whatever. They should go Super Mario Land. Mm-hmm. I think it's the first one because the second one is Wario, right?
He's the villain, yeah.
But both games involve getting a mansion, right? I think it's depending how many coins you collect.
In 2, I think that's the case.
Depending on how many coins you collect, because I think even for Mario,
yeah,
it's like you can have like a crappy little thing or like a big nice castle.
All right.
I think they should be explored, but it should be taken over by Wario or Waluigi. That should be the main antagonist. Maybe King Boo can be involved.
Sure, but
I think it should be more personal. And like, yeah, use something that's already pre-existing.
Yeah, it does need to branch out. It's been the same kind of thing.
And then Luigi takes over the mansion, and now it's his mansion.
Maybe he turns into a theme park.
Maybe
an attraction where people can come in and I don't know where you go with that franchise after this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe you don't. Maybe next level.
It doesn't make me want to watch Ghostbusters a lot, though.
See, I never got into those.
I didn't really either. Yeah. But this is like, I think I want to watch Ghostbusters, but with a Luigi mindset.
Yeah, I can see that.
Watch the Mario movie again.
No, I can see next level games making a new Wario Land.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that needs to be revisited.
But that's pretty much been me.
Yeah,
I should have that beaten by next episode.
Yeah. Bloostained Ritual of the Night is a video game that came out in June, and a video game that I fell off of pretty hard in the middle of the summer.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
a lot of games, a lot of things.
It hit at whatever that time was, and then I played the shit out of it. I was looking through my trophy list, and I realized I played a lot of this video game. But I got to a point where I just hit a wall and couldn't get past this one part, and I was like, am I at the right spot? Am I at the wrong spot? And I kept putting it down, and then you lose that muscle memory, you forget where you were, all that stuff with that you break that flow.
Yeah.
And every time I've tried to go back since, it's like I go in and I'm like, what was I doing? Oh, right. And I take a step. I'm like, oh, right, this boss fight. I don't know how to beat this. Fuck this. Well, I sat down last night and just went, I'm in. I'm fully in, and I get it. And this is after, like, a week ago I tried to play, and I fired it up in the morning before starting Resident Evil 2. I think, I don't know if I said this on the podcast or not, but I'd like done a little bit, and then I went to a bookshelf and picked up a book, and the game crashed because apparently that's a bug right now where randomly picking up a book can crash the game.
Huh.
I don't know. So I stopped playing it after that. But I went back now. Everything seems to be running smoothly, and it just something clicked. I made it past that boss. I figured out where to go. I just kind of embraced the idea of running through the castle to spots I've already been to and just seeing what's there.
You just needed that break, I guess.
Yeah, and I honestly, I had a similar break the first time I played Symphony of the Night, because I played Symphony, and I remember starting at the entrance and running all the way around to get to the outer wall, and then I couldn't figure out how to get past the big giant skulls.
You know, oddly enough, I kind of had that with Luigi.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a floor I had to go back to, and I was like, you know what? Let me approach this a little, like a different mindset.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not just trying to, like, whatever, get through it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, let me mess with that. I didn't think about that.
And that's the thing is, like, I feel like with this game, I had been like, I know what to do. You're like, this is the guy who made Symphony of the Night is making one of these. Mm-hmm. So I know it's going to be this. I know it's going to be this. I know it's going to be this. And you just kind of go into it with these assumptions rather than letting the game tell you what to do and learning from it. And that fucked me up. So coming back with the fresh perspective, it really opened that game up a bit. And I just started working my way through, and I'm on the final boss.
Wow.
I'm getting fucked up by the final boss a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And it's not even, so I'm not going to spoil anything in particular, but the final boss is not difficult. Like the attacks that are coming are super easy to telegraph and to dodge. Like, I'm not getting hit by any of the attacks.
Right. It's
the boss's head keeps hitting me, and every time it hits you, it does 94 damage.
Oh.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to you get an item called like a waystone that lets you warp to like a safe area. So I'm going to do that because the final boss area, as you're moving through the castle, you'll occasionally come across these, like, there's red doors. They're not red. They're like made out of wood, but they're like glowing red for bosses. And there's ones that glow blue that you need a special key to get through. And those are like boss rooms where you can repeat the boss fight for different drops, like weapon drops or item drops or something. So the blue key door drops, or the blue key doors, there's a couple of them that I've always ran by. It's like, you need the Warhorse's key to get through here. You need the Millionaire's key to get through here. And I'm like, I don't know where to get this. And the thing I've done with this, and I try to do with all of Iga's games, is not look anything up, because it's so much more rewarding when you can figure that shit out. So there's been a couple things like Luigi where I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But, you know, with the keys, I was like, I don't know where to get these keys or how to do it, and I'm not going to look it up. But I just happened to be on the way to the final boss. Not even realize I was on the way to the final boss. And I got the Millionaire's key. It was like all the keys I'd been seeing I needed, I'm like suddenly getting. So now that I got to that boss and I'm looking, like, my map percentage is basically complete, I'm like, okay, this is the final. Like, this is clearly, I know this is the final boss. I left and I'm like, I'm going to go peek out a couple of those areas that I can see on the map are not filled in. Like, there's just a couple that I know I have to hit still, including those bosses.
Because you level up in this game, right?
Yeah,
you level up. Do you feel like you have to grind a little bit more for fighting this final dude, or are you just trying to just complete the map for just because?
I honestly think, like, if I just study the boss a little bit longer, I could do it. Because there's... Maybe not with... I don't want to say specifics too much, but with any of the boss fights, I've found that they're not too difficult. It's just a matter of knowing what they do and moving out of the way of the things, and then attacking. And
how much patience, I guess, you have.
It's a lot of, the endurance thing. Some of the bosses have higher hit points, so you avoiding getting hit is a lot harder to do for a longer period of time. But I think this boss, if I had enough money to just buy healing items, I could probably be okay. I do have you get, the whole purpose of this game is you're getting those shards that you infuse in yourself.
Right.
that do different things. So I have one called Bloodsteal, where every time you attack an enemy and blood hits the ground, you can hit triangle and she screams Bloodsteal and then kind of pulls all of the blood in the area into herself and it heals her hit points.
Oh, wow.
But
I don't know why I thought the wrong steel when you said that.
It's
like
but
metal.
Yeah. But it's not like you only get 8 recovery for each piece of blood you absorb.
Okay.
And you might look at the ground and be like, there's a lot of blood on the ground. But it's not if you're healing, it's not as much as you want it to be.
Okay.
Like the one boss, I'm taking like 100 damage. If I have like a good amount of blood on the ground and I've taken 100 damage, I could probably heal for 60 if I'm lucky. But it's, you take 2 wrong hits and you're just like all of a sudden fucked. And when you've exhausted all of your healing items already, because right now, with the money I have and the resources I have, going into that final boss, I had enough to heal myself from basically 0 back to full health one time.
Yeah, that's probably not enough.
So, yeah.
Especially if bosses expect to have multiple forms. With that kind of game, I just expect that. At least 2.
Yeah, it is the second phase of this fight that I'm getting. That's where I'm dying. The first phase I can get through now without taking a hit, really. Like, maybe 1 if I fuck up. Mm-hmm. But, so I've gotten good at that, right? And that's the cool thing about these games is, like, you learn those patterns and you get good at that stuff. But,
yeah.
But no, there's a lot of weapons I know I want to try and find, and I know there's a lot more to the game to see, and I think that separation of it is letting me appreciate it a little bit more for what it is, and not forcing myself to just, like... Because I think with Symphony of the Night, I play that game, like, once a year, so to me, it's just, like, I know what the ending is, so my whole thing with Symphony is just, like, I'm literally fucking backdashing it all the way, just trying to speedrun and get to the end as quickly as possible. And it's not because I don't want to be in it. It's just like, I know. I got, you know what I mean? And I feel like I fell into that routine with this game. And
I'm starting to see a pattern. I think that's we were both kind of doing that. You just kind of,
you know where it's going, so you're ready to just see it to the end. And it just, I think there's a lot more to the game than that.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of it. I was going to play Session this week for a bit. Mm-hmm. But I fired up I haven't turned on my PC since before Japan, so there was a lot of updates. Like Steam wouldn't even open because it was updating Windows and all this other software before it could even update Steam, and then it finally did, and then I opened it, and then I looked at the clock, and I was like, well, it's bedtime. So no Session, but very much enjoy Session still. That, I think is going to bring us to our first break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how to support game developers who are part of a bigger team when that team gets involved in things you may or may not agree with. Be right back. Welcome back from the break. Mark, there's been a lot in the news lately, and I picked this topic mostly because of just where things have been in terms of just negativity and vitriol. There's a vast silent majority and a very loud screaming minority of people who just tear down other people based on whatever. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're seeing it a lot with in the week lead out to Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. That game, a lot of it got leaked this week, which I'm not going to... I won't go into any of that stuff for folks who are like on blackout mode because I understand what that's like. But there was a lot that was leaked this week regarding the Pokedex in particular and the number of Pokemon in the game.
Yeah.
And it was stuff that we didn't not know already, right? Like back at E3, we learned that the National Dex wouldn't be a thing in this game. And there'd be, a significant amount of Pokemon not in the game. But now that the complete Pokedex is kind of out there and people are seeing it and going like, well, wait, what about my favorite? What? And then that's kind of drudged up a lot of this crap again. And you get people who are just very vocally anti-Game Freak and blah, 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 blah. There was... out of a Waypoint Radio podcast episode, just a comment made by Austin Walker about how word on the street is that morale at the studio is at an all-time low. This is also like in the wake of things like Blizzard doing the stuff with Hong Kong and Blitzchung and all of that, and
Right.
Then going into BlizzCon and remembering that, you know, Blizzard is not made up of 4 people who make shitty decisions based on money. It's made up of people who work really, really hard to make things that they love and they're proud of. Bless you.
Sorry.
And I had seen a tweet from an artist on Overwatch 2 saying how conflicted they felt about BlizzCon because of how hard they'd worked over the last year on making this game, and then the response being met with, cool, well, fuck you because this. You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
you know, oh, wow, real cool fucking game. Why don't you free Hong Kong? like all of that stuff. And it reminds me, again, just the third example of Borderlands 3 coming out in the fall. And not that I was ever going to play that game because I didn't care for the others in the franchise, but the Randy Pitchford stuff at the beginning of this year certainly didn't help that game in my eyes. And I think and most people who play Borderlands 3, because it's a very popular franchise, don't know who Randy Pitchford is and will never know who Randy Pitchford is. But there are people who are, the world's a lot smaller than it used to be, and you can kind of see, you have exposure to a lot more. So seeing things like Randy Pitchford be an asshole, or maybe not, right? Like, be a liar, be a this, whatever, plus all the accusations even on top of that. Like, all of those things are not who made Borderlands 3. He's one person in the face of an organization.
Right. That's just hard to ignore or avoid.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I think I kind of am bringing this topic up because I don't know how... What do? Do you start tweeting at people? Do you vote with your wallet? Do you...
I think... So there's a lot of variables in this, right? Like, there's a lot of things to factor in, a lot of things to consider. I definitely empathize with, you know, anybody who, I guess, is affected by this, who works under these companies. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of variables with them as well. It's like, I mean, I don't think it should matter where they stand on the whole thing or with whatever. Because, I mean, you weren't invested in what they cared about to begin with before this issue, so why should it be a thing now? But I can also see, well, maybe you just never had to think about it before, and now maybe it's something you should consider. I don't know. I guess coming from my background, the only way I can relate to this is when I worked at GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
I hate GameStop.
Yeah.
I hated working for GameStop. But it was my choice. So I can only be against it so much. Like, if I really didn't want to be there, I could just leave and find another job. Yeah, that's hard. That's difficult. Shouldn't have to. Things should be better. But I don't know. And then, so like, anybody who has a view of me at that time, just as a clerk, you know, they probably just view me as just another asshole who's whatever, because works for a stupid company. So by proxy, I'm somebody who rips you off because the company was shitty trading values or whatever, right? And like, I get that. I can't really, I don't know. Like, part of me can't take that personally.
All right.
Because at the same time, because I'm following through their orders.
So what if we explore it a little bit differently?
Okay.
Think about, because I think you're right in that regard.
I mean, I'm just giving one variable.
No, in that way, you are totally right. But think about, you grow up playing video games. You play Diablo, you play Warcraft, you play etc. You go to school, you get a degree in art, and now you get to go be an artist working for Blizzard to make fucking Diablo 4. And it's everything you've ever dreamed of when you were listening to fucking Slayer albums when you were a kid, when you were drinking in the woods and wearing all black.
Right.
When you're doing all of these things, you're like, man, how fucking cool would it be if I got to work at Blizzard
and then this happens.
And make Diablo 4? And you just spent the last 5 years making this game. It's been canceled twice. It's been modified from this. It's all of these things. Yeah. And then a month before your game is about to be revealed, the presidents of your company do a stupid fucking thing, and now you can't walk around BlizzCon saying that you worked on the game because people are going to throw... No, I hope no one was throwing shit. Yeah. Right, but like...
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely speaking more, I guess, of like a general standpoint
Broadly,
with stuff. But
no,
but
like,
in terms of this,
broadly speaking, you're right. But like when you start thinking about like people who are like, I want to work at fucking Blizzard because fucking Diablo.
yeah, to have a background where you're very proud of what you've done,
Right.
and then for a company that you loved, and then this happens, and it can be very conflicting because then you're again like you're already you're part of the problem, not by choice.
Yeah.
Like you're just thrown into this whenever even though it's not directed at you personally, but you are in a way a part of that company, so in a way you are getting that backlash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even I mean at most probably inadvertently or at the least I should say.
No, but I think the other side of it too is like, what do we do about that, right? Like,
right.
Because you're right. Like, even in the wake of all of this, someone could have dreamt their whole lives to work there, and now they're working there, and all of this shit happens, and they're like, you know what? I don't align with what this company's saying. Fuck this. I'm gonna go get a job. I'm gonna make my own Diablo, and they're out. But how do we deal? Because there's plenty of people who are not going to do that. So, as consumers, what do we do?
Yeah, because that sucks, right? Because like you want to support those people who have nothing to do with it.
But you don't want Bobby Kotick to get more money in his back pocket so that he can do whatever Bobby Kotick does.
But in order for them to get that money, it has to filter through him.
I know, man.
And it's like it almost reminds me of like you have a favorite band, and there's just something about one of those members that just did something terrible.
Yeah.
And like. Lost Prophets, for example.
Was that the dude that did the...
Yeah. So, like, I really like that band.
Yeah.
And now it's just, like, it's hard to not think about that.
Yeah.
Whenever you listen to them. So it's like, do you listen to them? Do you continue listening to them? I don't think the band's getting supported either way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you're not really paying for it, especially if you already own the stuff. And
it's hard, right? Like,
right, because it's hard to ignore that stuff.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's
you
just
shouldn't ignore that stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
right. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. I like the song because as a collective, that's really good.
Yeah,
I enjoy that song, and so I like the band for that. But like, it's not like for example, like it's not like you're going to each band member and you're like, do they like Soup? Do they not like Soup?
Right.
Fuck him. He likes Soup.
Fuck him. Yeah.
Like I'm not listening to his band because that dude likes Soup.
But like I haven't watched a Tom Cruise movie or anything related to Tom Cruise in like 20 years because I don't even remember why. When I was younger, he did something stupid, and I was like, "Fuck that guy."
Yeah. So I don't know if there's other ways of supporting them. I don't know if these individual people. And then it's like that's the other thing, right? And it's like
because you can't really reach out and
if you support one, you support them all,
right?
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't be picky about it.
It's
unless they went off and did their own like coffee or Patreon or
something. Yeah.
I don't know. I think ultimately, I would vote with my wallet.
Yeah.
I mean, that sucks for them. I know they come all this way, but like, maybe if they see that their company is doing something wrong, they get hurt in this way. It makes them think and change things. Maybe if at the price they have to suffer. So, and then that determines do they stick around or do they back out?
Well, what about the other way, right? So that's the side where you're like, all right, I'm not going to spend money. I'm going to use Diablo 4 as the example here, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy Diablo 4 because
I'm speaking in terms of Diablo at the moment. Yeah.
What about the other way? What about the part of you that's like, man, I really want Diablo 4 and this all fucking sucks, but I really want this game and I want to support the people that made it because it's not someone who made a dumb decision about this whole other thing. And it's not the first thing that Blizzard's fucked up or whatever, right? It won't be the last, but what about the part of you that says, I want to buy this? Or, you know what I mean? There's that side that's like, I want to be buying this. I want to be playing this.
I guess it all depends on what you prioritize more, right? Like, is this issue bigger than the game or is the game bigger than the issue? Yeah. If the issue doesn't bother you, if you're not into the politics, then go ahead and buy the game, I guess, right? But if the issue bothers you and you're trying to do your best to make a statement, I guess that's what it all just boils down to.
Yeah, it's fair.
I mean, typically I haven't really been one to get involved with stuff like that or think about it, but I'm definitely more considerate of stuff like even stuff not that drastic.
No, yeah, smaller things.
Because like games in general or anything in general, whenever something gets released and it deals with like a franchise or like some type of lineage, and it's remakes of movies that are needless, that don't really need to exist or whatever, and games getting sequels, whatever. Like, there's always that fandom around it. There's always that toxicity.
Yeah. And
that can ruin a lot of things, and then that can also sway you in some ways.
Yeah.
Of like wanting to, I guess Pokemon would be that good example, right? Like, you have people that really are defending it, you have people that are really attacking it. But in the end, it's like, I don't know, like, maybe it's very reductive of me, but it's like, it is just a video game.
No, I mean, yeah, in the end.
Like,
in the end, all the things that people are getting bent out of shape, it's a video game.
It's just a thing you're going to put money toward to spend a little bit of time with, and you're not going to give a fuck about it in the next year.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's all strange. It's all very strange.
Yeah.
I don't see the point of getting so bent out, especially over Pokemon. I get the popularity of Pokemon. I get people, it's very important to them.
Yeah.
I think they should take a step back on both sides.
Well, I ended up buying Pokemon because now seeing what's there, I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I can't rely on what I've always relied on. They're clearly trying something different.
Yeah.
So I'm more curious to see what this game ends up being than...
I was hesitant probably the entire way through.
I have been too.
But right before this whole like morale thing and whatever, I was leaning more towards, I think I want to get this. I think I want to play it. But I did want to see the leaks. I did want to see the forums, because even with past games, I'm like, I just want to see, even I usually don't buy a game day one with Pokemon. I haven't in a while. I usually wait till after the fact, because it's not really leaks at that point.
And then you're just
seeing what's officially available. And I'm like, and I still want to see what's exclusive to what, make sure I'm investing in this, whatever. So I guess time does make a little bit of difference there. But I'm not going to get it. I'm not in the whole party or camp of like, oh, the deck sucks. Like, I saw this coming a mile away. I mean, like you said, they've talked about it before. But even before that, I had a feeling it wasn't going to be everything. Because I think the way they've just set themselves up, this whole lineage of Pokemon games, they've built something they can't handle anymore. It's it needs to change. Because like, you can't keep adding 150. Like, that cannot be your quota for every game.
That's a lot.
And people shouldn't expect that. No. Like, it made sense in the beginning. You want to have that many to have the longevity of Red and Blue to continue, and then like build upon that with Gen 2. I get that, because a lot of Gen 2 was supposed to be in Gen 1 and just didn't have time for it. So I get that. And then Gen 3 forward was just like, we got to keep doing this, new area, new thing. We had this formula. Let's go. And I'm like,
I'm excited to see.
It's overwhelming. I honestly, I thought collecting 150 was overwhelming.
No, and I mean, like, having all of the ones in what was it? I was doing that with X and Alpha Sapphire, where I was doing the.
Yeah, you were completing the national.
What's that thing called?
Or whatever,
Complete
right?
decks, or what is the?
Isn't it national?
National is like having all of them in one game, but there's a word for like. I was getting one of each. Like, I had one of each evolution.
Okay.
I was doing, like, I wouldn't just have Venusaur. Like, yes, I'd complete the Pokedex, but I also had in the box. You're actually
getting one of each.
I had one of each, so that at any time, if someone said, yo, I need an Ivysaur, I'd be like, got you. Here you go.
Completion decks?
I think it's complete decks or something.
Maybe,
like
yeah. I mean,
like there's a...
But, yeah, I mean, I know a couple of people who do that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But that's a lot, and, like, there's not...
And it's not impossible.
No, it's not.
But I think with the way they have their game set up currently, it's becoming more and more unlikely. You have to change it up. You can't keep releasing a new game and then remaking all these models for that game.
That's too much.
You have to do something MMO like. That's why I think Pokemon Go is doing it the best.
Right.
They're just slowly adding stuff over time. It's still the same game.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people have had this cry for a while now that we want a Pokemon MMO. And just, and that would take so much stress off of the development crew, because they could take their time, give all these animations, give all these little unique movements to each Pokemon, give the love and care.
Waves. But at the same time, I'm excited.
That needs a remake.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited to see where this game what this game is going to do, not having to render 800 Pokemon.
Right.
Like what other things are they putting their efforts into? Like,
I'm curious by a distance for sure.
Yeah. What's different about the gyms, etc. So.
But yeah, I guess more for me, like the reason I'm not getting it is just because I'm just not feeling it overall.
Yeah, and that's,
I mean, Pokedex aside.
No, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's just, I guess I can echo what other people were saying, that it is just like a beefed up DS game, like a 3DS game. There's not, it does different things. It does look beautiful. The character models look great.
Yeah.
You know,
you can customize your character.
Yeah, like that's all. I can tell they put a lot of effort into this, but there's just something about these games now where it's just like I get excited about it in theory or ideally, and then when it comes to it, I actually don't care about playing it. Just nothing ropes me in. It kind of got old for me. Or maybe I got old.
No, they haven't changed a lot of that game in a long time. So I'm hoping some of the weird things about the gym this time around are different, and I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Or I will say, shit, I shouldn't have spent $60, but I think ultimately, just to close out that topic, be nice to people.
Yeah, like in the end, like we're all human. But,
yeah.
I mean, I know some things.
Everyone's just doing their best. No one's trying to be an asshole.
Almost everyone is doing their best.
Yeah, I guess so.
More often than not.
Yeah. Why don't we take a minute here and let's look at some headlines before we read our email and close out with our final topic of the week later on. But we got a couple things here, a couple little headlines. Call of Duty Modern Warfare data mine reveals 38 potential new maps.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a headline, huh? It's a lot. Modern Warfare is, I believe that everything's coming for free.
I think that's right. I don't know. Like my brother, he actually, like, I know we just recently got like new internet.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the Wi-Fi hasn't been great, and we have like good speeds, and just something's been spotty about it for some reason. So he moved his Xbox all the way downstairs, right next to the router, hooked it up with a short Ethernet cord because he didn't buy one long enough yet to reach upstairs. And he came down because without a monitor or anything, it was just like I have to update my Xbox. And I was like, without seeing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Did you unplug this in the middle of updating?
Uh-oh.
And I was like, turns out he meant Call of Duty. He was downloading the game.
Got it.
It was updating.
And taking too long. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I actually brought my computer monitor, and then it's still set up in the kitchen. He's been playing the whole night. He was playing in the kitchen. And I thought that was funny. But yeah, I think all that content, I think that's what he was downloading was a lot of that stuff. Cause I think he just got the game or something.
Yeah, so a lot of the game is free. Or I'm sorry, anything new coming to the game is going to be free. There's no traditional season pass this year for this game. Now, the 38 potential new maps are not necessarily that there will be 38.
Emphasis on potential.
Yeah. But a lot of them are in there for testing purposes. So some old, some new.
Hey, that's a lot more than I expected for them to even try to go out of their way and try out what they really want to include in there.
I want to know. I'm curious to see. I think that as we look forward to our conversation on a game that stands out to us from this generation that kind of helped to set the pace for things. I think there's a lot of things that happen this generation in terms of game monetization that ultimately changed the way that we play and interact with games. I think mobile gaming had a bigger impact on console gaming than we anticipated it, or I anticipated it. Well, I don't know about the collective we, but something like Call of Duty you look at the iterations year over year and the fact that now there's no traditional season pass. The maps are free. Like, how are they making their money? Where are they making their money? Is this something that can help to change the business model moving forward? You know what I mean? Like, those are the things I'm curious to see how that shakes out. Don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if they just changed up the way that it happens. If it's all free, maybe it's like by downloads, maybe it's by it's always weird figuring that stuff out.
Yeah.
Like even back then, I never understood TV shows getting successful because of viewership.
Right.
It's like we're not paying anything; we're just watching. It's like somehow that turns into currency.
Because ads.
Right.
Because then they get the ad money from that, and how many people are?
It's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's another news story this week about how Diablo 4 will have cosmetic microtransactions. So you think about that. Is that where Call of Duty is going to make money from? It's like, well, I want to look like that, so I'm going to spend $20 to look like that. Is that where the future is? Is that a good thing? Does that suck? I don't know where.
I guess it depends on the game and if it makes sense for that game to have it. I don't know. If that makes I don't know. Like a game like Call of Duty, anything cosmetic. I mean that makes sense to me. I guess I've seen tons of. I mean, Counter-Strike does it. A lot of shooters kind of do that.
Well, a lot of them do it in the randomized sense, though. Like
right.
I think we're starting to get away from that trend of randomized loot and in favor of just here's $12, give me that.
The cosmetics in a shooter isn't Alien.
No.
You know.
So I hope there's a market there. Like I don't necessarily give a fuck about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I want my character to look cool, but I don't necessarily need a snakeskin camo wrapped AR-16 or whatever the fuck.
Or anything shiny gold.
Yeah. Herman Hulst, formerly of Guerrilla Games, now let me get his exact title. PlayStation has named him head of worldwide studios, so he's taking over Shuhei Yoshida's position as Shuhei Yoshida steps into a new role that doesn't necessarily have a title, but he'll be looking after and nurturing external, smaller, independent studios. This comes, of course, in the wake of the departure of Sean Layden about a month ago. And, Jim Ryan bringing in another European buddy to take over one of the major offices at PlayStation. Shakeups. It's weird, right? I mean, we're about a year out from PS5, and it's just...
So did Sean get fired?
I think... So, at some point...
It's just weird there's no...
At some point a little
details.
while ago... So, remember, Sean Layden was the Jack Trenton, right? He became president of
it's weird because
Sony Computer Entertainment.
You said Sean Layden, but I keep picturing Jack Trenton.
I know. Sean Layden became president of Sony or CEO of I don't know. He was whatever of Sony Computer Entertainment of America.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point he was then added in as chairman of Worldwide Studios. Then at some point they removed the positions of having regional PlayStation presidents. Right. So the SCEA top and SCEE, who was Jim Ryan, those positions no longer existed. Jim Ryan moves up into where Kaz Hirai was for years and years as like the CEO of PlayStation. And I think Sean Layden had they kept moving him around. I think they kept changing his responsibilities and duties.
Mm-hmm. And
I think that was when he just said, fuck this, I'm out. I think that is kind of we don't know, but I think that's kind of the idea is they changed his job title. They restructured a lot of the corporate stuff. It seems a lot like what they did with Hideo Kojima at Konami.
It's just a lot of hush.
Of just hey, we're making more money doing these things now, so we're going to move these people into these positions.
Yeah.
And Kojima kept getting his job title changed around and that kind of stuff, and inevitably.
His name is his title. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Curious to see what happens with PlayStation 5 with all of this, but weird.
E3 is going to be weird, man. It's going to keep getting weirder.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we'll bring it to a close with news here with one final. Speaking of Hideo Kojima news, Kojima Productions has plans to make films in the future. There's a little BBC documentary about Death Stranding. Kojima said, quote, "In the future, Kojima Productions will start making films." And then this part of the quote that everyone's pulling out of context. "If you can do one thing well, then you can do everything well." I think a lot of people are reading that and not hearing that. If you watch the clip, he says it and chuckles, and he's very clearly, making a joke about it, whatever. But I think people are reading that as a high level of hubris that I don't think he intended in the quote.
Yeah, that's just like that one tweet before.
Right,
because it was just bad translation, whatever. Yeah. But show of hands, who was surprised by him wanting to make movies?
You in the back? No. Oh, no. Okay.
I mean, I think that would be good. I mean, I would, dude, no hesitation. I would definitely see a movie he makes.
Yeah, because I certainly don't want to play any of the games he makes. No, but, his games are long as shit, and I think for me, Metal Gear was always impenetrable because I felt like I was missing something. Are
they long, or is just the cutscenes that are long?
No, for me, it was like I tried playing the first Metal Gear and didn't get too far in it, and I felt like I couldn't just jump into 3 because I'd be lost, or I couldn't just start 4. You know what I mean? So I was excited about Death Stranding because it was a brand new, fresh world, and then it just turns out that game seems pretty flat. But more on that next week when Matt returns. But no, I mean, I'm curious about what a Kojima movie would be like.
Because I'm not like crazy about Del Toro, but if them two did make a movie that was along the lines of PT,
that'd be cool.
That could be something.
That could be cool.
But that's just me wanting PT. That's not me probably wanting their movie. So maybe he should do something original.
I'm curious to see. And also when he says Kojima Productions plans to make films in the future, like that could very well mean, hey, I'm my own thing now. I can do whatever the fuck I want. So the money we're going to make on Death Stranding, I'm going to use to invest in other properties.
It's a very broad name.
You know?
Just have Productions as your title.
Yeah.
Like, you're not you're not Kojima Games.
Right. It's a thing where he can just produce things. It's a production company. He can say, I'd like to invest my money in this person's project. It doesn't mean that
Dude,
Hideo
you could do like
Kojima,
a super dope like short film if you wanted.
But it doesn't even necessarily mean that he's going to do it. It's the same way that
right.
Annapurna Interactive is making movies and video games. It's, you know what I mean? They are a production company.
Right, but I also can't see him not including himself.
No, for sure.
In the creative process. Yeah. At least.
But, I think that story is, I've heard it come up a couple times this week, and I think it's a little bit broader than just like, he is necessarily going to. I think he will, sure, but,
No, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, let's. We got an email this week. We'll jump over to that real quick, and then we'll close it out with our topic here. But got an email. Hi, Mark. Sarah again.
No, hold on.
Can you?
I'm not ready for this.
Can you name the characters on the boxes of Kid Cuisine? Thanks.
What? Hold on.
Wait, there's a follow-up. Just kidding. I thought I'd share the names first and ask you guys if you had a favorite variety of Kid Cuisine and an opinion on microwaving those brownies to death. Wikipedia names the penguin KC.
Yeah.
Short for Kid Cuisine Penguin. Although in the early days of the branding, it was a different penguin named BJ who had a friend, a polar bear known as the Chef. Thank you, Sarah. I didn't know that I assumed they had names, but I didn't know that they necessarily were that. I feel like I do remember BJ being that name of the...
I thought it was Chili Willy for the longest time.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is Chili Willy? That's something, right?
He's a character from Woody Woodpecker, a little penguin. But I think he was on, if I'm not mistaken, he was more aligned with the Icy
I would say, Icy I could see, or like a Little Debbie's.
Something slushy related.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But Sarah got me with that one.
Did you have a favorite variety of Kid Cuisine? And what about microwaving those brownies to death? I gotta look up Kid Cuisine.
Yeah, me too.
Because I don't remember the... I remember the brownies. I remember corn.
I did have like a go-to for sure. But sometimes I would switch it up and try something new.
We got... oh, wow, they had fried chicken? I didn't know that. Chicken nuggets. Okay, I remember chicken nuggets and corn.
Yeah, I remember the chicken nuggets with the mac and cheese and...
Oh, the new penguin's not good. I don't like this new penguin.
New penguin?
Oh, he's got like a mohawk. Nah, fuck KC, man. Bring back BJ.
Well, KC probably had some redesigns over the years.
Dude, he looks dumb.
Like, currently, he might look dumb, but I think back when I had Kid Cuisine, he probably didn't look as dumb, right?
I gotta look at the legacies here. Let's take a look here.
Because I think... I thought...
There he is. There's the guy. That's the one we know and love with a hamburger pizza.
A hamburger pizza?
Yeah, boy.
Hold on. Like, there's one that had, like, nacho cheese. It was like a dipper. Like a dippy thing.
Oh.
I think it did. I'm trying to... I can't find it for the life of me.
You're not thinking of Lunchables?
No. I specifically remember Kids Cuisine because I... disgustingly enough, probably to some, I would, I think I would dip the brownie or mix the brownie with it.
Huh. How'd that go for you?
I was just experimenting. It
Okay.
wasn't like, and I didn't do it all the time. It was just like oh, whoops, I got some of this into this.
Yeah, whoops.
Yeah, whoops, that was my excuse. I don't know.
All I'm seeing is kid cuisine, just kid cuisine. Like the chicken nuggets ones. I'm not seeing a. Thank you, Earl. I'm not seeing like a wide variety.
Maybe I'm seeing the brownie one now, but
I feel like every single one of them had to have a brownie.
Well, sometimes that brownie would be like, it'd be like hot fudge.
Oh, dude, that was so good.
Maybe that's what I'm mixing it with. Maybe I got like corn or something like
with the hot fudge.
Like maybe like fell in there. I was just like scooping it out and eating it.
I can see that.
Like all together. I remember the brownie with the pizza and corn. I think I did that a lot. I think more often than not though, it was definitely like nuggets.
Yeah, I feel like nuggets were the way to go. Did you see that McDonald's is currently putting old toys in Happy Meals?
Like how old?
Like for this month, they're doing like it's the 40th anniversary of the Happy Meal, so it's like the best of Happy Meals or some shit, and it's like not all of them are gold. Like a couple of them are. Let me see. I got an email about it because I am a fine subscriber of the.
Of
McDonald's mailing list. 40 years of Happy Meal. It's not fucking showing. But they got like the little Transformer dude. You know what I'm talking about?
I used to have those.
I know. I think we just talked about them like a week ago.
There was like the French fries, the hot cakes, the Big Mac. What else was there? Now, I don't know if the Transformer thing, like, I remember, was the hot cake one more like an Autobot, or was it more like a pterodactyl thing?
I don't remember.
Or maybe I'm just mixing things up.
I just remember you could fold them up and they were weird and whatever. I
remember the Big Mac one. I never had the hot cake one, but I remember seeing it. I had the French fry one. Didn't really transform too much.
I remember having the shake.
I think I remember the shake as well.
It had like a purpley dinosaur on the inside of it.
I don't remember anything else outside of that.
Happy Meal 40th. Come on, give me something here. Yeah, there's like Furbies. There's Hello Kitty. There's the little McNuggets. Look at little Nuggets. Remember those guys?
Yeah. They always had different costumes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mix and matching.
Yeah, it's like a random grab bag of old of
Space Jam.
Wait, where you see that?
Right here, Bugs Bunny, man.
Oh shit!
Because you can connect all those different boards together.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't.
Remember when they did 101 Dalmatians?
No.
Yeah, they had a literal 101
different toys.
That's
pretty fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
I didn't collect these, but someone I worked with when I was in high school at the grocery store, her mom would save. She worked for McDonald's and she would save everything. She had versions of all the toys. If they ever did like special cups or things like that, she had all of those. And she knew I was way into Batman, so she gave me there were Batman Returns French fry boxes.
Oh.
And they were all black, and they had the Batman Returns logo on the front of them instead of the McDonald's M. And on the back of it, it had character portraits of each Batman, Catwoman, and Penguin.
Wow. I had the cup lids that were Frisbees.
And then that was the other thing she gave me. She gave me one of each of the cups, and then the Frisbee lid with it as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then there's the glass Batman Forever.
Yeah,
mugs.
I remember having those. She didn't give me those, but yeah, those were. I had those when I was a kid, and I think broke them all.
Back to that kids' cuisine.
Yeah,
it was the nuggets with mac and cheese, corn, and it was chocolate pudding. It wasn't a brownie.
Chocolate pudding.
And I think that would somehow get mixed.
And I think maybe that's what would fuck me up.
Because I think I dipped the nuggets into the pudding.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. They put corn in everything, huh? I bet you all of that we were eating was just corn.
But I remember one of those things being nacho cheese for some reason.
Are you sure you weren't thinking of Lunchables? No, Dippies.
Because I remember the blue tray.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Scooby-Doo Cyber Chase, I think it was called. I don't know. Early 2000s is when I was really into all that.
Well, now I'm fucked up. I don't know if after this I'm going to go get a Happy Meal or a Kid Cuisine.
There was, for a little bit, when I was in the Bionicle, I was, like, super into Legos. And different McDonald's would have different little Bionicle toys.
Yeah.
And I made my mom drive out to all these different ones to get those. She wasn't too fond of that one, but if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have been able to go to each Dairy Queen to find the different Digimon plushes. And I had them all. Had a whole collection. I don't know where they're at now. But that was nice. She still gets Happy Meals.
Really?
Yeah.
I would do that every once in a while.
She just gets them for herself.
I kind of want to get one right now. After this, I'm running to the store, making chicken wings tonight, and I got to go pick up the wings. But on the way back, I could slip right through. I could say, "Hey, I'd like a Happy Meal, please."
No food, just a toy.
Yeah. I feel like you could do that, but they would charge you for the Happy Meal.
I think so.
Yeah.
Some places would be nice enough.
Yeah. We're going to be nice here and slip into our final topic of the week. We are rapidly approaching the end of the decade, which seems strange to think about. Because I don't think I thought about that when we moved into 2010 from 2009. I don't think I looked back and been like, wow, it's been a decade.
Yeah.
But, and I still am not doing that, but everyone else is. So we're going to climb aboard here. And we're seeing, I think Edge just put out, it's 12 different covers. It's the 12 most influential games of the last 10 years. Polygon.com did a top 100 of the last decade most influential games or something like that. And we're not doing anything in like a big official capacity for that, you know, and if we were, we would probably do it, you know, we'd obviously do it with all three of us and we'd do it a little bit differently, but just as a topic, if you could think back, what's a game, and this doesn't have to be like, this is the one, this is
right,
but just what's a game that stands out to you in the last decade that either impacted you specifically in the way that you play games and the games that you're interested in now because of this game, or maybe it's a game that you think helped to change the industry in a different way and kind of set a precedent for games to follow. Yeah, what do you think?
So I don't know, like I have 2 or 3 come to mind, like right off the bat.
Yes, Bloodborne.
So the one that I'm not most attached to, I would say Skyrim.
I think that's a good answer.
I think a lot of people gave that so much praise that I do not know a platform that it is not on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of games tried to hold up to that level of being to be an open world game. So right, like,
why do you think that is the one? Because
I mean there are ones I think that do it better.
No. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying the one does it better or worse. I think you are right. I think that Skyrim is definitely an answer that goes on this list. But
I feel like Elder Scrolls just kind of came a weird like it. I think it's always been popular, but not like, on a grand
that's
scale.
What I mean. Like, why did Skyrim take off? Like what
I
about
remember,
that game was it? Because
I think it starts with Morrowind.
You think that's
because I remember like Toonami highlighting that game.
Yeah.
For the Xbox.
Makes sense what Ben would be. Okay.
And I saw that and I was like, I kind of want to play that game. It looks like I thought it was an MMO at that time, and I was like, I kind of want to play that.
Yeah.
And then I never did. And then Oblivion happened, which was under my radar, but a lot of people love that.
I remember people playing Oblivion, but people didn't play Oblivion like people played Skyrim.
People didn't play Oblivion like they played Morrowind.
Yeah. Was it that was it the dragons? Is that what it was? Like
I think just the whole overhaul, the music, just it was just like a complete shift.
Yeah.
Of like, all right, we have our bearings. This is fucking it. This is like the RPG.
Yeah.
Or whatever. This is like the fantasy game of fantasy games. Like it had that like presence about itself. And I really do think the trailer itself just kind of, I think the whole dragon thing definitely.
Yeah.
That was probably a long time coming for people who I don't know what lore is all about with that, but I'm not really attached to that because I never played Skyrim.
Sure.
But I definitely see its impact.
Yeah.
More ways probably bad than good for me, but
yeah.
But within that same year, I would even say a little bit before it, Minecraft.
Yeah.
I think that definitely
set
some things.
Boy, did it.
I mean, Microsoft now owns it.
Yeah.
But like
Microsoft's paid $2 billion for it.
Yeah.
Like,
that's how much of an impact that game made. Like, this was just a little game that I downloaded off of, like, I think it was, I mean, I don't think it was a Kickstarter
I don't think
necessarily.
it was either, no,
But it was just a little site. It's just a little thing. And then it was more like community based in a way, because it was like, oh, you could mod it, you can keep doing these things, different skins and all whatnot. And then it started getting more official, and it didn't officially come out until 2011, the same day as Skyrim.
Oh wow.
But I was already enjoying it like a year or two before that.
Yeah.
And just like the way it was all randomly generated, that art style, like voxel became way more popular as a aesthetic choice.
Yeah.
Crafting definitely became like a
big
thing.
Hit so much.
It made me hate it.
Yeah, no, that's it's in fucking Bloodstained. Like, you know, like
I mean, but it's weird because I like it in Minecraft.
But everything else.
Some games can do an okay job of it. Like, if I don't have to like actually manually put it together myself, if it's just like, oh, you just need these items.
For me, it's the grinding to get
like
things.
a Dead Island. You had to get some, you know, you just pick up whatever from killing stuff or finding stuff, and you just have the option to make said item. It's like, all right, cool. I don't have to like go out and do anything. I don't have to build a furnace. I don't have to do anything else. Just go to this table. Done. But yeah, that was a trend in games I did not care for a lot, because I just wanted to get right into the action. I didn't want this stopping me. But that's more of a negative, I guess. But no, that game is definitely, I mean, it's, I don't know what I can say about it that hasn't already been acknowledged or said, at least for that field. But that game's still going strong.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of died down. I think a lot of games aren't trying to be like it so much now, which is good. It can kind of stand on its own a little bit.
Well, because Fortnite tried to be like Minecraft with guns, so then now everything just wants to be Fortnite.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. Getting resources, building, pickaxe. Yeah, no, definitely.
And it's funny, because Fortnite came about as the perfect, like, it was the perfect time. Like, I still wonder how much of it was intentional and how much of it was, like, a happy accident, but you had all those kids who grew up playing Minecraft who are now getting to an age where they might be phasing out of Minecraft and into something else. And then Fortnite comes along and it's like, well, here's a lot of the fundamentals you learned there.
And it's weird how, like,
plus with, you know,
like once
a dedicated pornography subreddit.
Right? But like once it got into that light, once Minecraft got into that light, it's of like, all right, we're like an official game now, not indie anymore. Right. Let's merchandise the shit out of it. And then, yeah, it's like Fortnite shares a lot of the similar vibes and hits all the same checks that Minecraft is hitting. And all the same checks of why we don't like those games for whatever. Because it doesn't feel like a game anymore. It just feels like just a big sellout.
An ad, yeah.
But it's still, like, if you put Minecraft in front of me now, I think I would still play it. I do enjoy that game for what it is. I would like to see what's been there since. I mean, it's kind of not the same since not the original team is all there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about that game I still find very charming. Very relaxing in some ways. I do like the survival aspect of it. And that was another thing. There was a lot of survival crafting games. Yeah. That was the other thing.
DayZ is basically just Minecraft.
What was the other one? It was like 7 Days to Die or something like that. Rust was another one.
Yeah.
It's just all those. And that probably led to the whole Battle Royale thing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of
some shape or form.
Yeah.
So that one definitely had an impact. And then the other one, obviously, like I was going to say Shovel Knight, but what came to mind was Hotline Miami.
Oh yeah.
Because I know that put Devolver on the map.
Yep.
That made people acknowledge that company now because they just how successful that game was.
And I think the more important thing of that is it's not just that it put Devolver on the map, but it let an indie publisher grow into something of its own, where in the wake of things like THQ's closure and the fall of the middle that we saw, like the end of the PS3 era, we saw the rise of the indie developer, but it was not so easy to start to see like that publishing arm. You know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah.
Now
so
you've got
it was a very underground thing.
Yeah, you've got companies like Devolver and 505 who are, you know what I mean? Like 505's publishing the PC version of Death Stranding now.
Team 17.
Right? Yeah, like, you know, Team 17's been around forever with Worms, but like just a bigger bump in different. Yeah,
they definitely got more of a spotlight now with all of this.
Yeah,
and then games that try to capture that Hotline like aesthetic that it had with like that the 80s, the cool like music going on, the retro like style. I mean, a lot of indie games already had a retro pixel style,
right? But it's something about Hotline though that did it and made it something you wanted to do. Hotline wasn't the first one to make an 80s retro thing. Hotline wasn't the first one to do top-down shooting. It was the combination of all the elements in that perfect storm of it all.
Mm-hmm. And just what that was like, it kind of just let the game like just do all the talking, even though there was dialogue stuff, whatever. But story wasn't the main point of that game. But then like, I see a lot of games try to mimic that as well, and then even the characters that it'd be referenced in other games too. Yeah. And people today still want a third game, and it's like, well, I feel like if you want a third game, you didn't play the second one.
Well,
or didn't finish the second one, rather.
I still want Mother 4, but
yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, just from what I'm seeing, like I think there was just a sale recently, I think on Nintendo, and I think Devolver, or I don't know if it was the official name, but they were saying like the Hotline in like influence sale or something like that.
Oh, what was that? I know exactly what you're talking about.
But like it has a Katana Zero on it.
Yeah.
It has
My Friend Pedro.
Yeah, it was just a lot of those like high action games.
Yeah.
With this cool like trancey music.
I remember
going
that
with it. Everything was just very like neonish, whatever. So yeah, I mean, especially for the indie scene, I think that's definitely one of the contenders.
Well, speaking of indie games, Spelunky would be my pick for Game of the Decade.
Oh, yeah.
That one, I think it changed what I was willing to play and excited to play. Like, I had never thought to play a game where you would die and then have to start from the beginning again. Which I know Dark Souls and all that stuff and blah, 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 but something about Spelunky just clicked in a way. I remember the first time hearing about Spelunky, I was listening to... I had completely missed its release, the original release that Derek Yu put out, and then I missed the subsequent XBLA port of the game. It was when the game was coming to PlayStation 3 and Vita when it hit my radar, because I was listening to the PlayStation Blogcast. And at the time, there was a guy who worked at Sony named Nick Sutner who did kind of what Shu's doing now with the indie relations stuff. Like, he was generally a part of like the third-party relations team, but he specified in like indie stuff. So he would work with a lot of indie developers to figure out how can we get your game on PlayStation Vita and upcoming on PlayStation 4.
Right.
And he had started talking about Spelunky. I'm playing a lot of Spelunky. It's coming out on Vita later this month. It's Spelunky. All these things. I was like, what the fuck is a Spelunky? I found Spelunker. I'm like, this is not, I don't want to play this. And then it came out, and I know I bought it, but I can't remember if it was one of the ones where I was like ready to buy it and it hit PlayStation Plus. I think that was something else. But I bought it right away and got it. And just, I don't think I've ever spent that much time on the first level of a game. And been excited to keep going back to it. And that like game loop, Spelunky, I assume people know, but if not, like Spelunky is that randomly generated level layout where the whole purpose is to move from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, navigating through random enemy encounters, and it's 2D. You're using a whip as your basic weapon. You can jump on certain things, but it's all about that. Can I do this? Whoops, no I can't. Can I do this? Whoops, nope, I'm dead. All of those things.
Should have done that.
Yeah, like, or the things where you're so confident in everything you're doing, and then, oh, fuck, I didn't know that would happen. It was that sense of like wonder and surprise that came back all of a sudden that you get from a Dark Souls or you get from anything else.
I draw some parallels with Minecraft with that.
And I was thinking the same thing when you were talking about Minecraft. It's like Minecraft was a good example just in the same way that Spelunky was a good example of one person being able to realize something themselves, like on their own without the backing of a big company, without anything. Like literally, I think Derek Yu made that game in his bedroom. I might be wrong about that. I can't remember now. It's been too long. But, working on the game by yourself and doing that. And in Spelunky's case in particular, Derek Yu had no programming knowledge. He made that game in Game Maker. And it was like Game Maker's fucking off-the-shelf software anybody can get and just make a thing. And for me, that was really inspiring because it was like, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could do this.
I mean, half the games I love are made in that.
Yeah, right? Like Hotline was too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, I think that ability, it didn't put Game Maker on the map, right? But like Game Maker, I think a lot of things, I certainly found a lot of things in the last 7 years playing that game I found very similar threads about people saying like, wow, Spelunky was made in Game Maker. I want to get into Game Maker. I want to make a game like Spelunky. How did he do that in game? Like all those things tied back to it. In Game Maker Studio, you go to their website and they very proudly show like, here's games that were made in Game Maker. And at this point, that list is just endless.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the time, it was like there was very few games that were like big hits like that. And Spelunky was just a big one. And I think it also, you know, that one to me stands out because the aforementioned Nick Sutner talking about Spelunky, like that was one of the earlier examples I can remember of him really going to bat for an indie game like that coming to PlayStation. And I think the work that he would then do moving forward with a lot of that stuff, like that's why we started with that huge swell of indie stuff on PS4 early on, was really attributed to him and his team and what they were doing to get those developers onto PlayStation. It's, if you remember that PS4 like announcement event where they, in February when they announced the PS4, there was like, they had just like picked up right alongside the infamous Second Sons and whatever.
Okay, yeah.
They had the same, like they were, it was like they treated the indie games like they were anything else. They weren't like, it was for the first time because like you had Xbox Live Arcade, you had PlayStation Network, and it'd be like, oh, well, and here's the downloadable games. You know what I mean? It was always like this extra thing. And PS4, and I think the stuff that he was doing, and I think Spelunky was an early example of that, was like, no, here's a game that's coming out this week. You should play this game. And the rise of the indie like really shifted that perspective to now like Nintendo does those entire presentations about nindies, you know, and like,
yeah, and I think that title changed now, right?
Yeah, now they just,
it's in Nintendo World or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I remember 360 having its own indie section.
Right, you know,
like they were giving people dev kits for 360 to make games on.
Yeah,
and then you had exclusives just to play that.
Yeah.
One of the creepiest games I played is on that, and I can't play it anymore. It's just nowhere to find. But it's just called Soul.
Ooh,
it was really cool. It was just a soul navigating through a 2D puzzle, but it had jump scares.
Oh,
but they were like photo realistic.
Ugh.
I don't know, man. It was
That's
cool.
cool though. But yeah, I mean, like, and Meat Boy obviously, like, there were.
Right.
Spelunky wasn't the first one, but I just remember Spelunky of this generation. Like, we also then saw so many roguelike and roguelike clones after that. Again, like, that genre wasn't new with Spelunky, but Spelunky by far made that super popular and got everyone. You know, we saw Rogue Legacy. I could sit here and name 100 of them, but yeah, that'd be my pick.
Nice.
Outside of Bloodborne. Yeah, and that is going to bring us to the end of episode 325. Thank you all for hanging out and listening. Thank you, Sarah, for writing in. Remember, write in, let us know your requests, and we'll forward this to the appropriate parties. But let us know which game you believe needs the Resident Evil 2 Final Fantasy VII treatment. Do you think it's one of the ones we named? I kind of really want to do that Street Fighter. Like, I'd fucking play that. You could also ask us a question. Anything you want to ask us does not have to be, as you can tell, does not have to be video game related. Ask us about kid cuisine. Ask us about yo-yo tricks that we learned in 3rd grade. Ask us about when we took that kid's yo-yo and took the string off and then tied it back up and told him to try doing a trick called the UFO where he does around the world, and he didn't know that I undid the string, and then the UFO hit the chalkboard and he got in trouble. Ask us anything you want to ask us. Also, give us some feedback. Let us know, did the new format this week work out? Did you like having some kind of tentpole topics with everything else peppered in? I think I liked it. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it felt pretty fluid.
Yeah, it worked. That's going to do it. We'll be back next week. I should be talking a little bit about Pokemon Sword next week. Matt, of course, will be reporting in with the latest from Hideo Kojima. Wrapping up Luigi this week. Is that the...
Yeah, and I'll probably be playing something else.
You know what that something else is? You had to look like you know what it is, but you're not ready to say.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Oh, boy. All right. Cool. Well, we'll be back in another week with another episode. Thanks for hanging out. You can follow us all on Twitter. The Free Cheese is at Some Free Cheese. Mark is at Og_mental. I am at The Free Cheese Podcast at thefreecheese.com is where you can send your emails. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, listener, for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.